Welcome to the Ed Answer Key, the podcast where in the time it takes to complete hall duty and attendance, we embark on an educational adventure for both teachers and families. So whether you're a seasoned educator or a family navigating the school system, buckle up for the Ed Answer Key.
What about prior ability and intelligence? It's how well a student did in a related subject before can affect their ability to learn new skills when faced with a new task.
I'm going to throw a wrench in it right away.
I was going to say,
You know I'm about to.
lack thereof.
Right. Well, we like to blame other levels, but I have a perfect example. Had one teacher. She's not in our building anymore. Now, some of our kids have a different teacher. And I see an entirely different situation. And I'm like, it's all relational. It has to do with, do they care about the person they're learning from? And I think that has a huge impact on prior knowledge. I have seen it in front of me, and I'm like,
And I also believe, I firmly believe kids know. They know if you are like you are really out for their best interests. I don't care what you can't fake it. They know.
And they might, I think it's respect too. They have to respect the knowledge you're willing to give. And like, I've been in all three y'all's classrooms before, like at different times in my life, and just thinking about how people want to learn from you. And that's important as hell. And people don't want to put as much energy into that. They don't want to believe that that's going to be a huge factor. They're like, well, they'll just learn from me because that's what they have to do. And maybe in some schools, I hate to say that, maybe in some schools, but I still remember too, Theo, a time you said, if my child came to a building, you'd want them to have an equal opportunity on each team.
Yeah.
And I still remember you saying how it's not like that.
Yeah.
And that was years ago. And I'm like,
It's even more so.
And it's even more so now. And like what we're talking about and this prior knowledge and this building of community and building up like the importance of education, what you know, and how just not a lot of connection.
Yeah.
But how do we build that? Well, we talk about how to do it in other areas, just not always with content. Funny enough. They're building programs for, I know athletics, they're building programs for outside of school for different things, and churches are figuring it out that they need to keep working on, building kids up and in this way and stay connected through all their years. But yet in education, we're in the same district. But
there's just a disconnect of information. I feel like there are pockets of genius, of sage type experience, and it stays in that bubble. For instance, if I did want my child to have the same opportunity, regardless of whose classroom they actually ended up in, how much does that teacher that may be struggling or brand new, how much of the nuances do they really have? And it's not like the excellent teacher is hoarding all that information, but it goes back to the T word, is like time. So when are you going to be able to collaborate? So I have intentional collaboration, like with my co-teacher or my teammates or whatnot, but I don't have that with those ancillary type of relationships that are as important as well. I feel like that would come from something has to be intentionally put in place for administration. But I feel like if there was a way to connect like that genius level experience to everyone, kind of democratize that would be great.
And without exhausting the people who that calls upon. And I think that's like, so I'm just saying, and that's and part of the big, and I know the mentor-mentee, I've seen that. We have our, teacher programming, our mentorship program, like when they first, their new teachers have to be part of that. And yeah, like you said, who's really, what's the purpose? Is it really just like the ask 3 before me? Are we just trying to cover that? So the administration and counselors, et cetera, don't get all these different, bombarded questions. But I think academics, like if we really come down to it, and maybe it's because of my work in both the, special ed world and a department, it's like, if you don't choose to, you could easily be in isolation.
100%.
And I used to work in a building where it was, of course, we're back to, grade level planning, and that was convenient. But it was also our mentors were one-on-one, and they were from our department. So it was that was their purpose, was to partner you with a content mentor, someone that you could work with. I think it takes those team leads, those district and department leads, those coaches that we don't always see. You know what I mean? Like people that we're not familiar with. We're like, oh, what do you do though? Like, how can you help us? I'm all about that. Like, I'm separating. I'm no longer this. I'm going to hoard all of this. No. Every single child deserves, and I don't have the energy sometimes. So it's like, but running into like, okay, so then do we have the department chairs in place who want to push, who want to take those new teachers in, because you should be proud of your baby ducklings. You should be proud of the ones that you want to take on. Well, if they're too much work and they're a bunch of losers, then what do we do with that too? Because we're not going anywhere. We can't just fire people. That's not. We're not in the business of that for hell no. So it's like we have to work with how does that look. And when I hear things like, well, we can't help them until they ask. We see the problems, and those children deserve better. There's 90 some odd kids in that situation. It's just, and that is where I don't sit back. So.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the Ed Answer Key. Your support means the world to us. Be sure to stay in the loop about upcoming topics by downloading our free podcast companion at www.edanswerkey.com. So until next time, class dismissed.